Biff, do you have I think you already have a recorded same game parlay spot for me for FanDuel, don't you? Okay. But it's same game parlay, isn't it? Or do you remember? The copy for today, for this week, is same game parlay. I think it's the same as the old one, so I'm not going to bother to record a new one, just keep playing the old one. How about that? Oh, I could record another one. It's probably easier for me to record it than you to edit it. Okay, if it's got, that's not a problem. I'll record one when I get off the air. Okay, whatever you want to do, but I can record another one easily. I was trying to save myself time if it was the same thing, but yeah, that's probably what it was. You're right. Okay. I'll do another one. Don't worry about it. I'll send you another one. When I send promo, I'll send a new recorded FanDuel. Oh, why? Okay. Right. 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 Okay, but you texted her, so at least she's aware. Okay. All right.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
The Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce and McKinley Carter Wealth Services urge everyone: support our local businesses, keep dollars in our own economy, protect our community character and well-being, create more jobs at home, and the money spent here gets spent here over and over. Presented by the Wheeling Chamber of Commerce, supporting our local economy, and McKinley Carter Wealth Services. 20 years of helping clients master their wealth in the Wheeling area and beyond.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
Hey, man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it. Hey, Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
Sure thing.
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your start to the work week. Mostly cloudy skies, a few scattered showers through the day. High near 59. Showers likely through the evening and the overnight with lows down to 55. We'll do mostly cloudy with scattered showers again for your Tuesday with highs in the upper 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Live and local in the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
So what do we have coming up today and where we've been so far? Well, COVID cases are shutting down the soup kitchen in Wheeling. They send Wheeling Park High School to a week of remote learning, and they have hit at least 2 new students at John Marshall High School locally. Across the country, 45 states are seeing coronavirus increases. 42 states are seeing hospitalization increases. One of Election Day's most interesting matchups is Secretary of State Mac Warner squaring off against former Secretary of State Natalie Tennant, who lost to Warner 4 years ago and is back at it again. She's going to join us coming up in just a bit. Wheeling's Planning Commission, and full disclosure, I am a member of the Planning Commission, should finally vote tonight on that controversial GC&P development project in Woodsdale, which means I anticipate an extra couple of hundred people really hating me tomorrow morning. It doesn't make a difference what side I vote on. An extra couple of hundred people will join the We Hate Monroe list as of tomorrow. What will Wheeling's Christmas parade be like this year? Chamber of Commerce President Erica Storch is scheduled to join us coming up a little bit later on. And published reports out of Charleston say that a known prostitute was recently arrested after leaving the home of State Senator Mike Maroney, himself, of course, still facing, essentially, prostitution solicitation charges. I'll share with you what the Gazette-Mail had to say coming up a little bit later on this morning. Plus, I want to talk about Tab, the Coca-Cola soft drink, tips, big tips, little tips, and what are you doing as far as giving tips these days? I've been cutting down on my tips, to be honest with you. And also some restaurant talk on my Facebook page over the weekend that I want to get to coming up here on the show. So all of this is coming up from me to ye, as I often say. You are welcome to join me on the text line at 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, the Watchdog Radio Network text line, or you can use the CityNet hotline from time to time when there is time at 304-232-8255. Now, we are looking at a very rainy day. It is I'm trying to think what word I want to use. It's a continual shower coming down outside right now. It's not a gully washer. It's just a strong, steady rain coming down right now. 56 degrees and rainy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 55 and rainy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And 55 degrees and rainy outside the Robinson Autograph Studios, downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. live with the rain all day today and at least much of the day tomorrow, but by midweek we should have a much better day in store. It is 8:14 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Is Natalie Tennant with us yet?
Yes, she is.
Well, let me welcome the former Secretary of State here in West Virginia, and she who would like to be so again, Natalie Tennant. Good morning, Madam Secretary.
Good morning. You have a busy show today. I was thinking, man, I wish I could be on the whole show and give comment or counter comment to some of the things you're saying, but you have work to do and I have work to do.
I guess so. And part of the work you've been doing lately is criticizing radio talk show hosts. I saw a story about that, and I thought, "Oh, am I in trouble? Am I in trouble?" But I guess it wasn't me. So, for that.
Well, I'm not criticizing radio talk show hosts. I'm criticizing the process that the current Secretary of State allows a full-time salary employee to work during state hours as a talk show radio host. Now, people look at that.
I was unaware of that.
Well, of course you are.
I was unaware of that until you brought it to my attention. That's strange.
Yeah, you know why? Because they did not disclose it. And I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, why did he just say, oh, full disclosure, I'm on the planning board? Why would you do that, Howard?
Well,
because
I think that's
right
fair to the audience.
Right?
It's the right thing to do. It's fair to the audience to know where your biases could come from. Absolutely.
Exactly. And so that's part of the argument too. It's just not that it's bad enough that you are allowing a full-time salary employee to go to work and then say, oh, I've got to leave for 2 hours. I mean, teachers aren't allowed to do that. Prosecutors aren't allowed to do that in the middle of a trial or a judge or anything like that. And it's like, wait a minute, you're allowing this? And now they come back and say, oh, well, he has flexible hours. Well, okay, does every employee in the Secretary of State's office have that flexible hours? So then it's like you're a business person and you're a constituent. It's like, do I know if I'm going to have service here or not? You know, I just think it's a bad precedent. And then to top it off, it's what we just talked about. When given the opportunity, and here's the bad thing, here's makes my point exactly. On Election Day, June the 9th, the employee was on the radio. Should he not have been helping county clerks or voters or watching the process as an election liaison? No, he was on the radio, and guess who he interviewed that day? He interviewed Mac Warner.
I'm going to make a wild guess that's Mac Warner.
Yeah. And do you think they disclosed anything? Either of them. And that's what I went, and we had a debate on Thursday, and I kept saying to Mac, I'm like, why didn't you disclose it? Because I know what you're talking about. I'm like, why didn't you disclose to the people of West Virginia that he's your employee, you're his boss? I mean, it reeks.
You know, some people may think it's a minor matter. I want to get to some other parts of that story in a second. Some people may think it's a minor matter. I guess maybe I'm more sensitive to it being in this business. I do think, and I hadn't even thought about the fact that but I always say, for example, whenever a planning commission issue comes up, full disclosure, I'm a member of the Wheeling Planning Commission. You need to know that as I talk about a subject that is something on which I am likely to vote. My audience knows that there's a different way to approach some things. My daughter-in-law is running for Congress. My approach to that has been I've chosen simply not to engage in that race at all. I've just said, look, she's my daughter-in-law. I don't think it's fair for me to even deal in that race. So you all know it, and I'm just not going to talk about that race because of those issues. But again, as a radio guy, a broadcaster, a journalist, whatever you want to call him, I think that it's important that people know from where you come and what your, I won't say what your biases are, but your potential biases might be.
Yeah, and then it just, to me, it goes to the core of decency and dignity. I know that I've talked about that a lot, and it's just not, a catchphrase or throw up. I mean, where's the decency that you offer the people of West Virginia by saying, by the way, I'm being interviewed by an employee? I mean, that just comes down to how then you treat the state, customers, businesses, throughout your management of an office. And that's what I go to. You're right. Is this a huge thing? Well, yes, because it's a core principle within who you are. but it also just adds to the rest of the questions that we've been having. Illegally firing employees, costing the state $4 million. Nickel and diming our businesses by putting a transaction fee back on them after I had taken it off, by not implementing requirements from the legislature, the promise that the legislature had made to the people of West Virginia in terms of automatic voter registration, in terms of a web-based portal where businesses could go and have the information of 4 state agencies, and it still says coming soon, yet he spent money on a building that he wants you to drive from Wheeling to Charleston to use.
Let me stick with
all part of this puzzle.
Let me stick with the radio thing just for a quick second, because I do want to be fair. Mac Warner's office, I think it was Don Kersey, but Mac Warner's office sent out a copy of help me with the guy's name, the talk show host.
Oh, he's on the radio, it's Dave Allen. In person, it's Dave Gilpin.
Okay.
I mean, in person, like, you guys are 2 different people. Well, in a sense, yeah.
I guess. All right.
What would that be? His official, formal name? Yeah.
Yeah. So the Secretary of State's office says, and sent out a copy of the contract, that the contract says he can take time off if he wants to, and actually sent out some copies of his time cards as well. Now, the one thing I was a little unclear about was, if he leaves for 2 hours, does he not get paid for those 2 hours? But I want to be clear. The Secretary of State's office says, hey, we knew this was happening, and he's not, theoretically working on state time. My question still would be, is he working on the state dime? And I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know. But he's not working on state time. So I want to be fair about that.
Well, yeah, and they say, oh, he has flexible hours, that he has a job that you make up other time. But wait a minute. We are in COVID. He started this job in the middle of COVID, when courthouses are shut down, when courthouses, counties are shut down, courthouses are shut down, or they're limited hours. And so how do you make up this time at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening when customers aren't coming into the office, when you're not going out to a courthouse? It just doesn't jive to me, and people get that. There are Secretary of State employees who work second jobs all the time. There are people around the state who work second jobs, but it's their second job. They're not doing it on their first job. They're working until 11, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, then getting up and going to their first job. So, I mean, that's what just doesn't jive about it. And then you're right. I've looked at the same schedule. His schedule is 8 to 4 or 8 to 4:30. And then to say, he's leaving at those times, it just doesn't make sense, and it's just wrong. And West Virginians know it. And they know it, too, or they wouldn't have hid it. They wouldn't have deliberately hid it. They would have disclosed it.
Well, again, and to me, it's an issue of journalistic ethics that you do disclose. And I really put it more on Mr. Gilpin, Dave Allen. I put it more on him. Yeah. I mean, he has a responsibility to his audience to say, if not as a general comment, to certainly say, when I'm interviewing Mac Warner, full disclosure, I work for the Secretary of State's office. And that as a journalist, that bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, I have the audio. I mean, they should have it on a podcast from June 9th, and it's like neither of them cared to share it. So that's why I'm running, like to bring back this, you're going to get transparency with me, all my warts and everything, because we know I'm not perfect, Howard. Everybody trips up, and I've had trip ups too.
I fully expected you to get back in the political game at some point, and it was always sort of a little bit of fun when some of we politicos around here would get together and say, what do you think Natalie's going to do next? I have to be honest, I was a bit surprised that you thought about going back to the Secretary of State's office. I know you really enjoyed that position, and it really seemed to fit with you. But talk to me about your thought process when you decided to run for this office again.
My thought process was, one, I looked and saw that work wasn't being done. We had a blueprint laid out for automatic voter registration where we were really leading the country in a lot of the advances for elections and leading the country for a lot of advances in business service also. And here's an example of the what next that I'll do. we put in place an online chat that major businesses use all the time and that we're using even now more than ever. Well, I put that online chat in. We had national recognition, won national awards for it, and I think it's been taken off. But what I was going to do for it and continue to do for it if I get back in is expand it to services that we have become accustomed to during COVID. Like, it's just not a chat of writing back and forth, but you could schedule a time with a representative from the Secretary of State's office and use Zoom. And you still get that face-to-face interaction, and we are now becoming accustomed to that. So that's the extension of it. So that's one reason that I saw to get back into this. And then, in my time in between, 8 years as Secretary of State, leading, being a national leader as a Secretary of State, and then having 2.5, 3 years as a voting rights expert at the Brennan Center for Justice, I even honed my skills and my ideas even more and saw that West Virginia needed it. Like, he's not even proposing anything, like, he's not putting out anything like, here's what I'll do next. Like, I can tell you what I'll do next in exploring election advances. I'm actually having a press conference today down in Princeton to tell you what I'll do next for businesses in terms of our military and our veterans business waiver. We need to expand that to military spouses who face an unemployment rate of like 24%. So that's the next thing I'll do. I mean, he's sitting there stale and stagnant, and West Virginia needs a Secretary of State who's just going to push forward.
My guess would be that Mac Warner would say, as an ex-military man himself, that don't you dare challenge him on how he cares for the military, that he has taken good care of them. I don't know what the details would be, but I'm going to guess that's sort of the response that you would get.
Well, here's the response that I give also, because when he talks about, when we talk about illegally firing 16 people and it cost the state $4 million, take a look at the deposition. I don't know if we've talked about that. It's released on my website at natalietennant.com, and you get a real inside look, because he says he didn't do anything wrong. Well, court documents say otherwise now, and some of the way that he treated employees, some of the way he treated his own supporters who wanted a job, and he emailed about, well, we're not going to get, Rick is about my age, and so we're going to look for a younger guy or gal. And then when given the opportunity to change
Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
That is documented. He said, I want a younger guy or gal or something along those lines. I mean, that's age discrimination. Is pretty. That's pretty clear. You can't do that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Illegal. I mean, that's the part. I mean, it's in the. There's two parts of it. Heck, I'm acting like I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, folks. But there's the discovery first, and they were able to subpoena the emails between him and his team. And this is the back and forth where everything says, so-and-so is a Republican and a great supporter. So-and-so's on the Republican committee here. So-and-so does this for Republicans and understands our Republican support. So in one of these cases, it's Rick, who's from Wood County, a former commissioner, who Mac Warner writes about and says, I like Rick. Rick supports us, but Rick is about my age, and I'm not sure of the enthusiasm and energy level. Let's look for a younger guy or gal. So that's in the discovery part of the email. Then in the deposition, in the under oath testimony part, the employee lawyer asked Mac Warner, did you want to say this? He's like, oh yeah. Are you sure in a personnel forum? And he says, yeah. I mean, Rick's a larger guy. And the lawyer stops him. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, that's a correct assessment. So it goes on and on. It's a back and forth. So yes, indeed. I mean, that's why BRIM, the Board of Risk and Insurance Management, saw this and settled as soon as they could. And Mac Warner will say, oh, no, he never wanted to settle, should have gone to court. You know how much more? I can't even fathom to tell you how much more that would have cost the state of West Virginia. So do you see why there's this frustration on my part on decency and dignity? And then he just comes up with, no, this didn't happen. I have the facts right there.
Those are the kinds of things that you may think, I mean, I'll be honest, you may think, I don't know, maybe, someone with more energy. You don't say them out loud. I mean, there's an issue of, I'm trying to think what the word I'm looking for here is. It just, be more careful. I mean, again, I understand that those thoughts may go through someone's head, but you don't say it out loud and put it in writing and then acknowledge. I guess I don't know. I just find this
I mean,
strange.
that's the continuation of arrogance, and arrogance to be on a radio and not disclose information. So when you talk about a military, you can't combat him with military. Well, this is what I say. I'm a military spouse of 19 years, and I know this. I know what it does to a family, and I have thanked Mac, and he didn't even acknowledge, but I thanked him and his wife, especially his wife, for her service. But I also know that being in the military does not give you the right to break the law. And that's what he did. And I just proved and I just showed you that. So go to Natalie Tennant. I actually sent out a press release. Here's what I've found that my problem is, Howard. I send out press releases. And when I do, I put hyperlinks in them. So then when you hyperlink, I'm thinking some people don't know what that hyperlink is. It takes you to what the source to which I'm referring. And some
She
folks
just
don't
used
do
pretty
that.
blue letters. That's all. She just used pretty blue letters on that one.
Exactly. And so, Howard, I'm going to put you on the spot. I sent that to you, and you didn't look at it.
I actually don't remember that particular press release. I'll be honest with
Well,
you. I'm not saying I didn't get it.
press-
I just don't remember
Well,
it. But
I'll
I
tell-
will.
I'll
I
tell
will
you
check it
why.
out.
And this is my fault. I'll tell you why. Because it's in the story. I put out a commercial called Nancy's Story. Nancy was one of the 16 fired, so it was a commercial. So, we promoted the story and said, here's the story. And by the way, here's all this other information based. This is how we can source Nancy's story. This is how we can, what's the word I'm looking for? Source is the best word, but that's not.
Well, documented.
This is how we tell it. Yeah, this is how we document it and make it credible. And it was in there. And that's why
I'm
it got lost.
I'm going to look that up because I have always seen this incidence of firing these people was one of the first things that Mac Warner did. And I have always looked at it in the political realm they were all Democrat. I think there was one independent, if I remember correctly, but there were no Republicans, put that way. It was all longtime employees who were Democrats that were fired. And the glasses that I looked through, I always saw that as a political issue. It makes me, you've intrigued me about him saying publicly and out loud that he, wants someone younger. Hey, listen, as someone who is 67, I don't like the sound of that.
Well, the thing is, think about it, Howard. If he's Mac's age, then Mac's saying he can't do the job. Well, and the thing is, I agree with Mac because he's that stagnant and stale. Even some of his old arguments. I mean, how many times am I going to be called, Barack Obama? Just name all the names of everyone. It's like, come on, folks. This is 2020. It's like, can you come up with something that is tangible? Or let's just talk about the facts in the Secretary of State's office. I mean, I am ready and willing to talk about anything good or bad that I've done in the Secretary of State's office. But no, you got to use the stagnant and stale lines he wants to fear people into voting for him. I want to inspire people by my energy, my innovation, and my vision. And it's just that's what I hope folks see. And that's the problem. That is the problem. It becomes, if people look at what I say and it's like, oh, it's political. And that is a perfect example of that. So when you go to my webpage and the deposition, like I went clear to the end of it because that's where all the discovery, the evidence is.
The conclusions and stuff, yeah, right.
Yeah, the emails and the back and forth. And then you can go back to the beginning. And then it's like, oh, it reads better that way.
It's interesting. I just got a text here. You may appreciate this. Howard, the easiest vote any West Virginian could make would be to vote for Natalie Tennant. So it's just a text I got here this morning.
Thank you, whoever it was, and I appreciate that.
I thought I would share that with you.
Oh, does my dad text? No, my dad doesn't text. But there are a lot of supporters that I have in the Northern Panhandle. Of course, people, I'm listening to you down here. I mean, people are probably listening to you from all over the state through the internet.
We have actually a very, very wide statewide listening audience anymore. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so thank you, whoever sent that. Now help me out, go out and get 10 more people. And here's what I'm finding, too. It's like, when we just tell people, go vote, there are some folks who need a little bit more help in description in what you need to do. Like, I've even asked my nephews who are linemen, and it's like, do we know if we're going to have a big storm on November 3rd? So I say, can you go and ask for your ballot now? Can you go early vote? Like, really make that plan for it, and just help people along almost. I mean, up the hollow where I grew up on a farm, there's like 14 votes up there. And it's like, if I can't get all those people out to vote, then we're in trouble. But, you know, that you just can't take anything for granted.
I like that. They're linemen. I tend to think of, like, well, bad weather keep people in because they're afraid of the rain. But no, you're talking about they may have to be called out to work on Election Day.
Exactly.
So,
I hearken back to, remember 2012 when we had the big Superstorm Sandy? And our guardsmen were, like, deployed to Nicholas County. And so that's when I was like, we need to be able to use that online ballot delivery that I brought to the states, even for our military who are not overseas, who have been deployed because of this natural disaster.
Yeah. Natalie, I got to run on. Anything real quick that you want to get out there? We've talked about a couple of specific things. I know you have some other stuff that you're putting forward, and people can find out more at natalietennant.com. But anything else in particular you want to take time to talk about here real quick?
Well, I mean, I would just, I mean, we kind of talked about, what the stark difference between how you treat people and how you run an office with openness and transparency, and know that I am, having the next steps. The what next are you going to do? Don't tell me about what you didn't do, Natalie. Don't tell me about where your record. What are you going to do for me? And those are some of the things. Take off a transaction fee on businesses that was put on. Expand the military waiver to our military spouses. Implement automatic voter registration. Look for the other enhancements that take place in elections. And so, always know that I'm looking forward and I'm having the energy and the innovation because I know that we can do this.
You're not too old?
Nope. That's my problem sometimes. I forget how old I am, and I like, how old are you now? I don't know. Today I'm 12. I'm not sure I've ever really been 52 yet.
Yeah, I believe me, I understand that. There's a reason that the audience knows we watch my 5-year-old grandson almost every day, and I'm his best playmate. And there's a reason for that, because I'm pretty much not past the 5-year-old mentality mark sometimes. So.
And that's why, you go back, and that's why you surround your people with different, you surround yourself, I guess, with different demographics. I have a 92-year-old dad that I talk about. And when I'm with him, yes, I'm freezing as much as he is. But, that's not just in who I am as a person. I surround myself with teenagers and millennials. But also in philosophical thoughts. I just received the endorsement from the chair of the Libertarian Party. And that just goes to show that innovation relies on diversity of backgrounds and backgrounds of ideas. And I'm proud to say that there are other folks who are not just Democrats and independents. Heck, I have a lot of Republicans who are like, Natalie, we got to get rid of that corruption in the Secretary of State's office. I'm voting for you.
Appreciate your time today, Madam Secretary. Good luck on Election Day, and we'll be talking again at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Check more info at natalietennant.com. Natalie Tennant, former Secretary of State, running again for that office. Mac Warner beat her 4 years ago. I remember, Biff, in the post-election interview we did with her 4 years ago, when she talked about, I forget exactly how she phrased it, but you could tell it hurt her. She said, I felt like I had this beautiful little jewel in my hand, referring to the job of the Secretary of State's office, and I dropped the ball and I broke it. And I always remember that. It hit me how important she felt that position was. And this is an interesting election. Former Secretary of State against current Secretary of State. There's a lot of nuances here. We've talked about some of the distinctions here. I really don't like this. It's a tiny matter, but this idea of a Secretary of State's employee doing a radio show and interviewing the Secretary of State and not disclosing that is very disturbing to me as one who tries his best. Maybe I fail sometimes, but I try my best to disclose any potential conflict of interest or anything that you may think appears to be a conflict of interest here on the radio show. Again, I have chosen to stay away from the race involving my daughter-in-law. That just seemed like the most prudent thing to do. Today we talked about, and tomorrow we'll talk about it more length, the Planning Commission vote on GCMP tonight. And I always make a quick point that, full disclosure, I'm on the Planning Commission. I think it's important that you know that. Sometimes it doesn't make any difference, but it makes a difference that you know it. And it's a little thing, and it probably bugs me more than it would bug the general public, but it bugs me. But the point I was getting to was, Mac Warner has presented himself quite well. He's done a lot of things. We've had him on the show many times. He's talked about a number of things that he has done, and we're really getting into nuance between these two officials, former Secretary of State, current Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State's office, Biff, while it often is a political springboard, it is not really a political office. It doesn't make any difference if you're a Democrat or a Republican. You are the Secretary of State, and you have to represent the election concerns of everybody and small business concerns and so on. So it really isn't a political, yes, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican, that's political. Mac Warner has certainly played up his Republican position in some of what he says and does internally. By internally, I mean private emails and so on, not necessarily publicly. It's an interesting race. And it's not going to get as much attention as maybe it should, because we have a couple of big races like the governor's race that's overshadowing it. It's 8:40, 20 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Coming up, Tony Caridi is going to drop by. He's got our Morning Mountaineer report. That's important for us every day. And then we'll check in. Before that, we'll check in with our friends of the Big Seven. WTRF TV's got some headlines for us right now.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time.
Biff, I'm going to do the tab cuts coming up next segment, but I want to start with 15 first, and then 7, and then I'll use cut 22, the tip, as well, if I have time. But I'm going to do the tab, make sure we're backwards. 15 first. And I shall return. I'm back.
A die with his second interception of the season. West Virginia has now intercepted a pass in 13 of the last 20 games and 5 consecutive games. Coming up on Saturday, a tough test as West Virginia heads to Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Much more about that game throughout the week. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
Frio Stack and Associates Auctioneers, Realtors, Certified Appraisers specializing in antiques, business liquidations, multi-parcel land auctions. Frio Stack and Associates is a regional business offering the executor, attorney, agent, and other individuals the most comprehensive and technologically advanced auction and appraisal services available. For information on our service, call our office at 304-233-3168 or email frioauc@aol.com. Frio Stack and Associates sells the earth and everything on it.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your start to the work week. Mostly cloudy skies, a few scattered showers through the day. High near 59. Showers likely through the evening and the overnight with lows down to 55. We'll do mostly cloudy with scattered showers again for your Tuesday with highs in the upper 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
You're listening to The Watchdog, now on FM at 97.7 and 98.1. Sounds so clear. Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson were just discussing it.
Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Crystal.
The Watchdog, live and local talk radio, just the way you like it.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
A bit later on, I'll talk about another email scam that I have come across. The president over the weekend tweeted out a really bizarre story once again, which turns out to be fake, and I'll share that with you. Going to talk about tipping in restaurants and a few other things in a moment or two as well. We talk a lot about FanDuel, paid commercial time here on the radio show. They're one of our fine sponsors here on the morning show. And FanDuel is one of several sports books that are permitted to operate in West Virginia. But FanDuel and their competitors, Biffy, are now making West Virginia the 6th most lucrative sports betting market in the country. Bets in August, just August, $45.9 million in bets in West Virginia on the various sports betting apps. So we are, good news was we tried to get in early on this. It didn't get up and running as quickly as we had hoped, but it's up and running now. And a lot of folks are taking advantage of sports betting. $45.9 million in bets during August, making West Virginia the 6th most lucrative sports betting market in the country. Nevada is number 1. Now that's because they were exempt from all of the sports bans previously, so they had kind of a head start, if you will. In August, New Jersey broke the record for most money bet on sports in a single month, beating Nevada. Pennsylvania and Indiana also emerging as front runners, but now West Virginia is trying to make itself a big player, and we are a big player in the state. Last month, sports books in West Virginia recorded $2,337,299 in revenue. FanDuel among the largest of those in terms of betting. FanDuel and their key opponent, DraftKings, have been dominating the U.S. market and certainly in West Virginia as well. There are some smaller ones here in West Virginia. And, of course, you can also bet at 3 of the casinos, Hollywood, Mountaineer, and Mardi Gras. Can you not bet at Wheeling Downs yet, Biffy?
I would think you would be able to.
I'm looking at...
I don't know why they wouldn't have them listed.
I'm looking at the story from Metro News, and it says that you can bet at any of the following casinos: Mardi Gras, Mountaineer, and Hollywood. Doesn't say Wheeling. I thought Wheeling did have... I'll have to double check on that. Or somebody can text me, if you will, at 304-214-1600. I think that sports betting is up there. I mean, they had all kinds of trouble, but I thought it was up and running. Now, FanDuel is one of our fine sponsors here on the Watchdog Morning Show, and they've got a really good deal for you today specifically. You can bet the Kansas City-Buffalo matchup set for tonight on FanDuel, and there's something you don't want to miss. Right now, new users can get an exclusive plus 2,500 odds boost on the Chiefs to win over the Bills in this big matchup for this evening. That's right, bet up to $5, and you could win $125 on Kansas City to win. And Biffy, you think that's probably a good bet, right?
Yeah, I would definitely bet the Chiefs to win in Buffalo tonight or this afternoon.
What's your reasoning behind that? What makes the Chiefs the favorite in your mind here?
You got to look at Patrick Mahomes, and even though he kind of had an off game last week, I think he'll get back on track tonight. And you look at all the receivers and what he has to work with, and the coach that Andy Reid is, he'll have him ready today to go, and I just think they'll come back and win in Buffalo.
Well, if you agree with Biff, you can make some money by being a new user and taking advantage of this new user deal, 2,500 odds boost on the Chiefs to win over the Buffalo Bills. You can bet up to $5 and win $125. That's a nice payout if you concur with Brother Biff on this one. Of course, with FanDuel, incredible odds are just the beginning. They've got a simple app, live betting on every game, exhilarating bet types like same-game parlays, where you combine multiple bets from one game into a single parlay. And once you win on FanDuel Sportsbook, they get you your money as quickly as 24 hours in most cases. So if you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, it's time to get off the sidelines and into the game. Download your FanDuel Sportsbook app. Use my name, Monroe, in the promo code box to make your first deposit to claim your exclusive plus 2,500 odds boost on Kansas City to win tonight against Buffalo. Promo code Monroe, FanDuel Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older, present in West Virginia or Pennsylvania. New users only. You must wager on designated boost markets. A deposit is required. The maximum bonus is $125. Get the full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have fun with this and sounds like a good deal, just go ahead and gamble a little bit. Have some fun. But if it's not fun, if it's a problem, then call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-GAMBLER, or visit www.1800gambler.net. 6 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Biff, did you ever drink Tab?
You know what? I don't think I did.
When I was a kid, literally a kid, Tab was among the first ever diet sodas that came on the marketplace. It was when just began to start recognizing that sometimes soda pop and the high calorie and the sugars and so on could be a problem. So Coca-Cola came out with Tab in the 1980s. But over the weekend, and I didn't know it was still around and I like Tab, not because I ever used it for calorie reasons. I don't worry about calories. I just thought it tasted good. But this weekend, Coca-Cola announced they're killing off Tab. It debuted almost 60 years ago today, hit its stride in the 70s and 80s. It's fallen off the radar a bit since then, basically, and lots of other diet sodas have become way more popular. Drinking this morning my Diet Dr. Pepper, for example, as I do every morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. But Coca-Cola has decided that they have too many, quote, underperforming drinks. And so they're getting rid of Tab as well as a few other as well. So if you're still a fan, you've got up until the end of the year to hoard your Tab. Here's the way Tab was promoted when it first came out.
1 calorie Tab Cola. What a beautiful drink. Tab Cola. For beautiful people. Tab Cola. It's beautiful to be so good and sugar-free. Tab.
Sugar-free Tab. Well, that sounds like a 70s song, too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In case you don't know quite what Tab is, we were lucky enough to grab an old school movie from the 70s to shed some light on what a calorie saver this drink was.
Look, there's Brenda and Karen. They both have hairdos like Farrah Fawcett from Charlie's Angels. We're on roller skates with tight white spandex shorts and red tube tops. We're starring in a TV commercial for Tab, the delicious diet soda made with artificial sweeteners saccharin. And look, there are some rats from the laboratory that were fed saccharin, and now they've got bladder cancer. 1 calorie Tab, the only diet soda that mattered.
Maybe we shouldn't have played that. I don't know. I forgot there were some problems with Tab. There were problems with Tab along the way. I don't know who sells Tab around. Anybody know? If you do, text me 304-214-1600. Who sells Tab? Where can I find some Tab? I want to have. If Tab is going out, I want to go out with it. I want to have a chance to try a final can of Tab. So if you know where I can get it, give me a text. 304-214-1600. I want to talk about tipping a little bit in the next hour of the show. Got a big tip story. It's always fun to talk about these big tip stories. But also, I have been cutting down on my tips. You know, over the years, I've made a big deal about being a really big tipper. That's my approach to life. I appreciate servers, and I appreciate that they work for minimum wage, and they do a lot for me, and God knows I love restaurants and so on. But I have been cutting down on my tips, and I want to see if any of you are feeling the same way. So I've got that coming up in the next hour of the show. We're anticipating hearing from Erica Storch. She is the president of the Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce, and we'll talk about the Christmas parade, a survey that an economic outlook event coming up this week. And also, I want to know where that survey that the Chamber and WFU are working on about the future of the Upper Ohio Valley. So I got all of that coming up in the next hour of the Watchdog Morning Show. Just about 9 o'clock here, and we're looking at, let me double check, it was 51 when I checked last, and it's still 51 degrees and really pretty steady rain coming down outside. That's true at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, it's true at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and it is true at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. It's 9 o'clock, here's ABC.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News.
Okie dokie, Biffy. If let me know when we hear from Erica. Hopefully we hear from Erica. And I guess I'll do some more coffee. I'll be back in a minute after I get some more coffee. Okay. Okay, Biffy, I am back. Oh, shoot, I didn't get that. I want to get the Maroney story in here. Nancy, your phone. Biff, let me know when Erica's there. I will not say anything until I'm sure she's there. Hmm? Oh, okay. Well, then, very good.
workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and steam fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Hello, I'm Wheeling Fire Chief Larry Helms. As our city and region get back to business, it's extremely important to continue the following specific health guidelines to stop the spread of COVID-19. This virus is highly contagious and is more deadly than the flu. Please wear a mask or face covering in public, wash your hands more often, socially distance yourself as much as possible, and by following these guidelines, it potentially could save your life.
Island Pawnbrokers is now your local firearm dealer. In a pinch? Need cash quick? See us before going to the big box stores. Paying top dollar for firearms, gold, silver, tools, coins, and electronics. Don't lose your good credit. Let us give you instant cash. Stop by 2 North Broadway Street on Wheeling Island, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Island Pawnbrokers. Stop in for instant cash.
The Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce and Omni Strategic Technologies urge everyone: support our local businesses, keep dollars in our own economy, protect our community character and well-being, create more jobs at home, and the money spent here gets spent here over and over. Presented by the Wheeling Chamber of Commerce, supporting our local economy, and Omni Strategic Technologies. 35 years of helping clients perform without limits in the Wheeling area and beyond.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your start to the work week. Mostly cloudy skies, a few scattered showers through the day. High near 59. Showers likely through the evening and the overnight with lows down to 55. We'll do mostly cloudy with scattered showers again for your Tuesday with highs in the upper 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Are you awake?
Hey, I love waking up in the morning.
I'll make sure you get an early wake-up call.
Why would anyone want to wake up early?
It comes from working for years in radio.
I learned that I'm not a morning person.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
Not good with that whole portion of the day.
Oh, good morning. I am not a morning person. Wake me at 10.
Well, then we've got to do something. We have show to do.
It's showtime.
Live from the Robinson Auto Group studios in the heart of the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
So, what are we talking about on this marvelous Monday, this rainy day and Monday morning? COVID cases shut down the soup kitchen in Wheeling, send Wheeling Park High School to a week of remote learning, and hit at least 2 new students at Marshall County schools this weekend, as 45 states across the country see coronavirus increases, and 42 states are seeing hospitalizations from COVID increasing. One of Election Day's more interesting matchups is that between current Secretary of State Mac Warner and the former Secretary of State Natalie Tennant, whom Warner beat 4 years ago. They are doing battle again at the ballot box come Election Day. Natalie Tennant was with us earlier this morning. Wheeling's Planning Commission, and full disclosure, I am a member of the Planning Commission, should finally vote on that controversial GCMP development project in Woodsdale tonight, which, as I've said all morning long, means that no matter how I vote tomorrow morning, there'll be a couple hundred more people angry at me than they are today. It doesn't make any difference which side I vote on. There will be people angry because this may be the single most divisive issue that I've ever tackled in 20 years on the Wheeling Planning Commission. Published reports say a known prostitute was recently arrested after leaving the home of State Senator Mike Maroney. Somebody asked me, is that a big deal? It doesn't involve Maroney per se. That's correct. I would suggest, if the reports are true and they come from the Charleston Daily Mail, that they have something to say about the ability to make wise decisions. We'll talk about that. And what will Wheeling's Christmas parade be like this year? What other things is the Wheeling Chamber of Commerce working on? Erica Storch is going to join us here literally in just a second or two. Weather-wise, as you heard, we are looking at a rainy day on Monday. It's going to rain all day long. It's a nice, steady downpour coming down right now. Has for the last couple of hours. It's going to be overcast and gray and rainy all day. Some areas, according to Zach over at the Big 7, could see up to an inch of rain over the course of the day, today, tonight, and into tomorrow. Rain should wrap up tomorrow morning. The good news is by midweek, Wednesday and Thursday, we're looking at really nice days. 58 is our high for the day, 51 and rainy right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 51 and rainy at my home studios, and 51 and rainy at the Robinson Auto Group studios in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Erica Storch is president of the Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce. Let me quickly say, she also, of course, is a 3rd District delegate. But we're going to talk today only about chamber matters because she'll be back with us on Wednesday in our candidate conversation sponsored by the Upper Ohio Valley Building and Construction Trades Council. So this will be like Storch Week here on the Watchdog.
Wait to give your listeners a warning.
Yeah, well, I'm alerting them right now. So. But I wanted to mention that only because somebody somewhere along the way will ask me when we're done, and they say, why didn't you ask her about, I don't know what, the color-coded maps or who knows what. So I want to be clear. Today we're just going to talk about Chamber of Commerce stuff because there are a couple of things happening there. Erica, welcome. Glad to have you here this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
It's always good to talk to you. I appreciate you remembering us today.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, last Monday was really a bad Monday. And it ended on Wednesday.
I didn't mean to bring up that. I just thought I couldn't help it. But you were very kind and apologetic about it. These things happen. We sometimes get guests who forget or get caught up in other things, and I understand that. A couple of things I want to talk about. The Chamber's got several things happening that I think are worthy of our conversation. Let's talk about the one that a lot of people, though, ask me about all the time, which is, are we going to have a Christmas parade this year, a Fantasy and Lights parade? And if we are, is it going to be the same as usual? Or, what's happening with that Christmas parade?
So we are currently planning on having the parade. We just wanted the community to have something that was normal. And as you know, our parade is televised live by both stations. And we just felt like it was a great opportunity to encourage people to watch it from home. We know there will be people that watch it from downtown, and we're hoping that if they do choose to do that, they maintain social distance and take all the precautions necessary to protect themselves and their loved ones, even maybe that may not be at the parade, maybe that they may take it back, that they could potentially take it back home too. So we're just asking everybody to be aware and to be cautious and to just use their best judgment. Like I said, we don't expect anybody to drop off their 10-year-old and try to rally with them post 8 o'clock at the, South Wheeling once the parade stops. And we're not encouraging that. We're just discouraging large groups from watching, packing the streets. And we're also going to make a change. And so last year, a couple of years ago, Main Street Bank got involved in the conversation last year. They were the title sponsor of the parade, and we had asked the entrants to continue marching, playing, dancing, whatever performance they may do in the parade, past Main Street Bank to like 21st or 22nd Street, past Oric, so that they could, so Main Street could participate and enjoy from their they have bleacher sets down at their location. They're obviously not going to be able to do that this year. We're not able to get any bleachers for this year just to try to keep people from clumping in groups. But we had asked the participants to keep going. Sometimes it seems like 16th Street and the bridge, once you go on Main South, is kind of where people stop performing. But we had encouraged them to keep performing until they got done at work. And so this year, we are just changing it, and we will transition from northbound on Market to southbound on Main at 12th Street instead of 10th.
So revising the route a little bit then.
Yes, we're going to tweak it a little bit. As you know, 10th is an on-ramp for 70 east and westbound. Currently, it is the only on-ramp for 70 westbound in this part of town because the Fort Henry Bridge on-ramp from Maine is closed. So taking that into consideration, we just thought it would be easier to make that transition one block sooner.
So they'll be leaving, stepping off from around the usual place, down around the community college, somewhere around there, and then moving up the street only to 12th, and then down 12th and back down on Main. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned no bleacher seating. Yeah, that's probably not a smart move this year. So you won't be able. You used to be able to sell some tickets, or at least offer tickets for people who wanted to get a good reserve seat or a bleacher seat, but no bleacher seating this year too.
Correct. And we had thought we may be able to do it because we thought maybe that would give us the ability to maybe control by offering every other row like they've been doing in the stadiums or whatever. But we, in consultation with the Ohio County Health Department, we just decided we'd scrap those for this year.
Now, will there be high school bands and stuff in this? And how are they going to handle, socially distancing and so on?
So it's my understanding that the high schools, several of the high schools or their county school boards have secured for their band participating students bell covers and or flute guards, which are, I guess, devices to help with the spread of, saliva. So several of those have secured them. We had a conversation with Wheeling Park High School's band director, and he advised that they would be submitting their application. I believe we have received that. We've received several high school bands. However, the middle school bands, as you may be aware, Warwood and Philadelphia and Wheeling and Bridge Street typically combine as two, so four become two. But this year, they said, due to logistics and them being able to practice and stuff, that will not be able to be occurring. So our middle schools are not going to be able to participate. Now, that doesn't mean there might not be other middle schools around that we will receive their applications, but Ohio County middle schools are not going to be participating.
What kind of interest have you seen in terms of people doing floats and trucks and so on? Is it about the same as usual, or, well, first of all, are you even allowing it to be as long as usual, or are you cutting down on the number of participants, and what sort of interest have you seen in possible participants?
So we probably have about, I'm going to say 2/3 of the applications we normally receive, and several of them have expressed their, gratitude that we are having the parade because, that's like the one thing that the community looks forward to. And as far as, we're obviously going to have to communicate. We try to communicate to all the entrants every year, but we will have to communicate, to understand what the band setup looks like. Say they typically, take up X number of seats, and this year they've restructured their lineup to socially distance the students a little bit in a different manner. We'll obviously have to have those conversations just so we keep everything flowing so that Santa Claus can get past the camera at 8 o'clock. Because you can't show off.
Will you have a greater spacing between the participants? I know years ago when I used to be a parade marshal, our job was to keep things moving. You didn't want too much space in between. But this year I'm thinking maybe the participants, you want more space in between them because of COVID?
Yes, and like I said, we may have to go in and, take a look at what it's going to look like. We may, we schedule various stops, so that gives us some flexibility, and those stops may be a little longer, just depending, so that, we can take a look at, we have decided this year we're going to make a scheduled stop for the teachers of the year. As you know, we recognize a teacher in elementary school, middle school, and high school each year. They're typically presented awards at our Partner in Education Luncheon, which is traditionally in April. That was not able to take place this year. So, and then they also serve as grand marshals in our parade. So this year we're going to kind of try to tie both events into our parade. So we're going to take a stop and recognize those teachers. And so that's one that, will be scheduled. Now, the length of time we're able to stop may depend on the amount of entries that we have. But there will be some stops and there will be some spacing scheduled.
Now, you mentioned Wheeling Park High School will be there. I assume they will be leading the Santa Claus float in like they usually do?
They typically do. We haven't worked
now,
on the
here's the
lineup
question
yet.
Here's the question my 5-year-old has been asking. Will Santa Claus have to wear a mask this year?
Santa may have to wear a mask this year. I haven't received any communication from the North Pole yet, but I will feel certain that Santa Claus will be there. I don't know if Santa Claus will be able to have any people on his float. I know that he will not be able to make his traditional stop down to express our gratitude to the Main Street Bank people for their sponsorship of the parade. However, I would imagine when he is being interviewed by our partner, WTOV9, I'm sure that they will have to have a mask. So I don't know if Santa will as well. I'm not really sure about that protocol.
It is a question my 5-year-old grandson Teddy has asked, because we play Christmas. He likes to play Christmas here at the house when he's with me. And Granddaddy, will Santa Claus, he knows all about, he doesn't quite know what COVID is. He calls them the germs. He knows the germs. Will Santa have to wear a mask because of the germs? It's like, I'm thinking maybe. I don't know. I guess that's all. All I know is he'll still bring the toys, son. Don't worry about that. No, he'll still bring the toys. I got a text here just a minute ago, and I have to say they're probably right. This person says, I bet a dime to donuts that the downtown will still be packed on that night. I mean, that is a risk that you're going to run. The truth of the matter is, I think a lot of people are looking for something to do, assuming the weather is okay, and assuming we haven't, and maybe I should get into this first of all, there's always the possibility that the COVID situation could change enough that you wouldn't have the parade, but right now it's still there. So assuming we have a parade and assuming that the weather is good and so on, I think you're going to have an awful lot of people want to come down and watch it just for something to do. It's going to be tough social distancing for anyone to police, I would think.
Well, and as you said, it has been a number of years since you were a parade marshal. And by the way, if you would like to start doing that again, we use all the volunteers we can get with that, and especially experienced ones. So, but as you may recall, typically Market Street is very crowded, but on Main Street there is a great deal of space that nobody is stationed or whatever to watch. So, like I said, we're just going to encourage people to watch it on either station that they choose, because it's broadcast live on both. And but we're also going to encourage them, if they are in town, if they do have a child that's on a float, and like I said, we're not expecting anyone to drop off their 10-year-old and then meet back with them or try to meet back with them after the parade is finished. We're just asking them to not unintentionally expose their circle.
Every year there's usually little pockets of people where they pack together. I mean, I could name them, so could you. We could draw a circle around places where they tend to gather. And then there are usually a lot of places where there's a very thin line of people watching. So if a lot of people do come down, if they just move somewhere else, there's plenty of room to move around. Just don't all gather together. That's the bottom line.
Right. And
let me shift gears.
Like I said,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I mean, we have had conversations with the Ohio County Health Department, and they have given us the approval to be able to have the parade because it is outside. We're going to take every reasonable precaution to protect those that are participating in the parade. And I mean, like I said, we don't have blinders on, and we don't think that people aren't going to be in downtown. But we're just asking those that are maybe to be extra cautious.
Let me shift gears for a minute here, Erica. We're talking to Erica Storch, Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce President. Erica, this week is the week for the Economic Outlook Conference that will be done by the WVU College of Business and Economics. Our old friend John Deskins usually is here, or someone of his team will be here to talk about what the Economic outlook is for this area, right?
Yes. Yes. We're looking forward to that. That's always a good informational event. Last year, the information that was presented was a little depressing. So we're hopeful that it's a little bit more positive this year, but I can't imagine anybody really thinks it can be much more positive after the past 6 to 7 months have been. But hopefully he has some optimism with things bouncing back and getting active again as far as oil and gas activity or whatever is our big driver for this region. And we're looking forward to Dr. Deskin's conversation. And part of the conversation this Thursday is there's a section on remote working, which could be a great opportunity for West Virginia in its entirety, in certain pockets, better so than others, because broadband is obviously an issue in various areas of the state. But, as far as remote working, my son is working for a company. Well, he's actually working for one of the big 4 accounting firms. He's out of their Cincinnati office, but because of COVID, he's working from what I like to call their Eastern Cincinnati office, which is my office and my home. So.
Yeah, my daughter-in-law lives literally 2 doors down the street from me, and she works for a company in D.C., and she does all of her work remotely. I mean, it is an opportunity, I think, that we can maybe pick up on. When I saw this on the list of conference subjects, I thought, well, we have a lot of problems with infrastructure in West Virginia. But if we talk regionally, if we're talking about here in the Panhandle, we actually have pretty good internet access, broadband access. Not as good as it could be, but we've got really pretty good opportunities here. I would assume that when they do a seminar like this down in southern West Virginia, they're not going to talk about attracting remote workers. But this could be an opportunity, actually, for us here in the Upper Ohio Valley.
Yes, and I believe it was either last week or earlier this week prior to our event, David McKinley with McKinley Carter Wealth Services and his team is a partner with WVU for putting on these presentations in the Charleston market and the North Central market, which is Harrison County, Marion County, Mon counties. So I believe that the North Central presentation will be in early November, but I believe that the Charleston presentation will have already occurred by the time ours has. And I believe that one is remotely handled as well this year.
Well, I'll be curious. I usually invite John to come on after he does the presentation for the chamber to come on and kind of reflect on that with us. So I'll have him on probably later this week to talk about that. But I think this, we always have to look, I think, and I assume as chamber president, you have to always be looking for new opportunities. I mean, we certainly always encourage ways to support our local businesses that we have. We always got to look for, I think, new niches and new openings. And remote working is now becoming something that people talked about 2 years ago and are doing now. It strikes me that here in the Panhandle, at least, we have an opportunity to really capitalize maybe a bit on that. At least I would think so, and I would hope so.
It's interesting when I talk to my son, who, like I said, works for one of the big 4 accounting firms, and he talks about their space and in various offices around the country, and I'm sure similarly around the world. But when you're talking about occupying 4 floors or 6 floors in a downtown location and having to schedule times to ride in the elevator. If you're on the 40th to 44th floor, 40th to 43rd floor, it's great to have that ambition. I think you're going to walk the steps, but...
Holy man, I've never heard say. What time do you plan to go down to the lobby? Okay, we'll put you on the car 4 at 3 o'clock. Oh, my Lord, I didn't know that. A lot of people are, and this has ups and downs. Remote work, I think, is here to stay. I don't mean here in Wheeling, but in general in this country is now here to stay. I know in my business, and of course I'm still broadcasting from home, and I may always broadcast from home from now And that's happening more and more in the radio business. You're seeing radio hosts all across the country that have decided it's just as easy to do it from home. They don't need big studios and all the expensive equipment. We've got nice equipment here in our home offices. And that's going to mean, the good news is it's going to create some creative opportunities for people. But it's also going to mean, I think, real estate's going to be go through a flux here in this country in the coming years as more and more people begin to say, and again, I'm seeing it already in the radio business where some of the larger companies are shedding some of their large office buildings because they just don't need the space anymore because the workers that were in the buildings are now home. So we're really going through an interesting revolution as a result of remote work, I think. I don't know if you would concur with that or not, but I think so.
Well, and I agree as well. Like I said, when you're talking about maintaining 4 floors, in a downtown office space, and you have to schedule time in an elevator to get your staff up and get your staff down because, the elevator in our building says please limit to 1 person in the elevator. We're only 3 flights, so it's not as tragic as it would be if you were, can you picture trying to get into a downtown Manhattan radio studio that you may have to schedule time in the, in the elevator to get up to you would have to make sure you adequately scheduled early in case there was some blip, an issue or whatever, as far as, if that time wasn't available in the morning and you're like, wait, I have to go on the radio at 6. I need to get up to the studio. So you can totally understand why people are taking a look at it, but it's going to probably create a real interesting real estate situation. I agree with that 100%.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about, any movement on this survey that you guys are doing in conjunction with WVU to take a look at sort of some long-range planning for the Upper Ohio Valley?
So the public survey comment period has ended, and that's closed, and they're analyzing, the WVU team is analyzing that data now, and then the next step will be for us to put together some focus groups, and as you may recall, the target area for that action plan was Hancock, Brook, Ohio, Marshall, Wetzel counties in West Virginia, Jefferson, Belmont, and Monroe counties in Ohio. So we've had some conversations with some county commissioners in each of those. I've had some conversation with chambers in each of those areas. So now, we're going to have to reach back out to those people and make sure we have the people at the table that need to participate in that conversation.
So the process is continuing, basically.
Yes, a little slower than we had anticipated, just because of COVID crazy, which I pretty much call COVID every time I say it. But it is progressing, and we're very anxious to get to the ability to have those people sitting around the table.
All right, Eric, I appreciate your time this morning. Now, you can take the chamber hat off and put on your legislative hat when we get together again on Wednesday for our conversation for upcoming elections. So switch hats when you have a chance, and I'll talk to you again on Wednesday.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce President Erica Storch with us here today on the Watchdog Morning Show. I don't know. I think it's good that we have the parade. I do not think it was a bad decision. I think it's a wise decision. I think people are looking for it. But Biffy, I think, assuming weather is good and everything, I think people are going to want to get out and see the parade. And I'm afraid we're going to have some pretty packed streets on what is the date? I should have asked. I don't know what the date of the Christmas parade is. Do you know, Biffy?
I want to say November. It's usually on a Friday. 20th, maybe.
I would say the 22nd. I would say the 22nd. So if there's a Friday around there, that's probably it. Yeah.
20th is a Friday. If it's that weekend, 20th is a Friday, 21st is Saturday, 22nd is a Sunday. So probably Friday the 20th, I would imagine.
All right. Again, there's plenty of room, as Erica says, but we have to rely on people to make their own smart moves. Don't congregate. There's 2 or 3 places downtown, maybe 3 or 4 places, or 4 or 5 places where crowds tend to congregate and gather. They want to watch it at a certain spot. Spread out. And as she points out, Main Street or Market Street is always where the big crowds are. And then Main Street tends to be a little less, a little more thin. So go and watch it on Main Street. Just spread out. I mean, you're going to have to do that. Wear masks. Try to socially distance the best you can. It's going to be weird to see Santa Claus in a mask, Biffy.
Well, and the Christmas parade's going to be no different than people that are going to football games. Or,
Right.
or any sporting event for that matter. It's pretty much the same guidelines. So if you do go to the Christmas parade, just keep in mind whatever you're doing at your local high school football game or wherever you're going, you're going to need to do the same thing during the parade. And if everybody does that and follows those guidelines, I think we're going to have a good parade.
I'm with you. All right, let's take a quick break. I want to talk about tipping a little bit, and I want to talk about this Mike Maroney story briefly, and who knows what else is about to happen, and maybe even a visit from our friends at Channel 7. We'll see. It's all coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West.
Yep, I just was thinking about that. Okay.
Walk? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your start to the work week. Mostly cloudy skies, a few scattered showers through the day. High near 59. Showers likely through the evening and the overnight with lows down to 55. We'll do mostly cloudy with scattered showers again for your Tuesday with highs in the upper 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
WKKX and WVLY voted coolest couple in their high school yearbook. The perfect cure for your quarantine blues. The Watchdog on Facebook Live. Watch The Watchdog weekdays on Facebook Live, beginning with the morning show with Howard Monroe at 7 a.m. Local talk radio, Watchdog style. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-8255.
Live and local for the Ohio Valley. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I want to go back to the Wheeling Planning Commission meeting for this evening because if you are interested in this vote on the GCP development, which is a huge deal in the city of Wheeling, in the Woodsdale section, because of the COVID restrictions, this is going to be a live meeting. This is the Planning Commission, not a public hearing. Last time we got on this issue, we had a public hearing and we made special arrangements for it with going to West Banco Arena and setting up chairs socially distant and microphones and Zoom and all that kind of stuff. This is a meeting of the Planning Commission where we will likely, it's not a guarantee, but I'm going to assume that we'll make a decision tonight on whether or not to step past the first phase of requests for this GCMP development project. If the Planning Commission recommends no tonight, and council were to concur with that no, then the whole issue would be a moot point. If the Planning Commission recommends yes and council would concur, or if the Planning Commission recommends no and council overrides this, the project could move forward. I just want to be clear about that. The vote tonight is on, do we amend our comprehensive plan and the future land use part of that plan to allow the possibility of this project? Then the actual project has to be considered. At any rate, tonight, this is where we will discuss it as members of the Planning Commission and eventually, probably tonight, I would think, cast a vote. Now, if you're interested in that, you cannot come into council chambers, or let me be more specific. The number of seats available in Wheeling Council chambers will be very limited because of COVID restrictions. I think the number is only around 20 to begin with. So the commission will be there, the staff will be there, the applicant will be there, and there are several other issues at hand in addition to GCMP, so several applicants will be there and their attorneys and all that kind of good stuff. Bottom line is, people actively taking part will probably take up most of the seats. Therefore, I want to point out that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be live streamed on Wheeling's Facebook page, the City of Wheeling's Facebook page. So if you want to watch it, you can do that. It is not a public hearing, so we're not shutting anybody out from participation because there is no participation. But I did want to make that point. For those of you interested, I mean, there might be a few seats available. You can try and come down early and get 1 or 2 seats. That's always possible. But the truth of the matter is, it's unlikely you'll get a seat. So watch it on the city's Facebook page. I just wanted to point that out.
What if, Howard, what if someone slips you a 50? Will that help?
No.
Okay.
No, unfortunately, no.
No, that won't help.
No. No, I don't think. I don't control access to the room, so I guess not. I'd give him my seat. You sit up there where it says Howard Monroe. You could do. No, but it would be nice if somebody would. And now, why do I say that? Only because in all the years I've been on the Planning Commission, and if you read news stories or if you read fictional stories in particular, it's planning commissioners who are often paid money to do things, right? Nobody's ever once even tried to bribe me. Not even once. I mean, I'd like a chance to say no. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just a chance. I just like a chance to tell them no, but nobody's ever tried to do that. But again, I do want to stress that because I know somebody will come down. There'll probably be a group of people showing up in City Hall. They want to come in and they can't, and they'll feel like we're being unfair to them. So, I want to try and get as much information out ahead of time that you can't do that as I possibly can. The strange case of Mike Maroney continues. Over the weekend, the Charleston Gazette Mail, reported a story at Glendale Police, and this comes out of a court filing. This was additional information filed in conjunction with Senator Maroney's previous prostitution solicitation case. And again, I'm not sure the actual charge is soliciting prostitution, but that is essentially what was at issue here. He went to see or used a prostitute. It was supposed to go to trial last week. It didn't. It was delayed again. This is because the Marshall County Prosecutor's Office has basically recused themselves, and it was only, last week before, I think it was only just last week that the county judge agreed to the recusal and so has to appoint a special prosecutor for that case. So it's still on hold. But some additional court filings were made known over the weekend. And let me just share with you what I'm reading from the Joe Severino story in the Charleston Gazette Mail. A Glendale police officer witnessed a woman who had an active arrest warrant and was known to be, by law enforcement, engaging in prostitution, leave the home of Senator Maroney on August the 5th. Glendale police officer Gary Myers says he saw a woman later identified as Brandy Ann Cecil walking out of Maroney's home, got into a truck. They did a license plate check. The license plate check came back. What's the word I'm looking for? It did not return to any vehicle. They couldn't get a read on the license plate, so they stopped her. And turns out this woman had an active arrest warrant out of Belmont County, Ohio. They did not stop her for anything in conjunction with Mike Maroney, and they did not stop her in conjunction with prostitution, but rather with an active warrant out of Belmont County. However, the police filing says she has, I'm not mentioning her name, but she has been previously identified as engaging in illegal prostitution. After she was arrested, she told the deputy that she had known Maroney for about a year. She acknowledged he had been at his residence. She had two, I quote, crisp $100 bills on her during the arrest, admitted to engaging in prostitution. Police said they found, quote, 2 sex toys in the bag that she was carrying. Later, they checked her cell phone, and they discovered, among other things, supposedly, again, this is from the Charleston Gazette Mail story, which is based on a court filing, that her phone showed that she had text messages with Maroney, including one that said, why don't you bring some toys tonight? Now, first of all, I understand many of you believe, and actually I do too, that prostitution probably should not be a crime. I really do believe that, but it is. But I believe it should not be. I accept that as a reality. But what this talks to me about is judgment. If Mr. Maroney, Senator Maroney, Dr. Maroney, who was already charged with a prostitution-related offense, was seen yet again and having yet again another act of prostitution, if this court filing is true, that goes to a judgment issue to me. That goes to the ability to make smart decisions. Now, the story I have here, and I have not tried to talk to Paul Harris, who is his attorney, nor to Mr. Maroney. I don't have any direct response from them. The newspaper article over the weekend says that both they were unable to reach either one of those folks Maroney or his attorney, Paul Harris. So there may be some other kinds of explanation or comment or pushback here. And I also suspect that some of you probably are saying it looks like Glendale cops are out to get him. And I don't know if that's true or not, but if the facts are true, the motivation is not relevant. So I just thought I would at least mention that. It is a story that was in the Gazette Mail over the weekend. Mike Maroney, a Glendale police officer, witnessed a woman known to be engaging in prostitution leaving the home of Senator Maroney on August the 5th, according to a filing in Marshall County Magistrate Court. So I thought I would share that with you. Let's share what the Big Seven is working on today. Bob Westfall is here from WTRF-TV. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Howard. How was your weekend?
It was relatively quiet. It was a nice, pleasant weekend, unlike weather-wise today. It was a nice, pleasant weekend, and so I had a good one. How about yourself?
Mine was fine. Got my license renewed. People in Bridgeport, License Bureau, wonderful people. Was painless and quick, and so I am legal again.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear that.
Well, mine expired when the COVID all hit and they shut everything down. So actually, I was driving under the governor's extension. So finally had a moment that I could make it. So painless was fantastic. So that was my weekend, getting that out of the way.
Well, that's good. So if you had been stopped, you would have simply had to say,
yeah. I was. They would have seen it was April, and they would have known that the BMV would have been shut down for several months. So, just say, hey, you know what? They're closed. I can't renew it.
So, what are you working on the Big Seven this dark, dreary, rainy Monday?
Well, we're dealing with several cases of COVID across the at least Ohio County, if not further. Including John Marshall High School in Marshall County. Wheeling Park is on remote learning this weekend. We're actually going down to the soup kitchen. The soup kitchen has closed for technically 5 days, but obviously they're not open on weekends, so they'll be closed for 9 days. Dealing with COVID cases across the valley, they continue to numbers continue to go up, so we're going to keep an eye on that. Across that. So that's very interesting. The health kitchen is such an important part of helping others in the community now that they're not going to be there. I believe Catholic Charities is stepping up and things like that. So we're going to get all those details here. DK is going to be talking to Kathy here in a little bit. What is next for the soup kitchen?
Good. I mean, it is a vital part of our social safety net these days, and it's been increasingly so recently. So with it shut down, it leaves a big void. I know that Catholic Charities, as you said, will probably pick up it, and I'm sure that we'll have more information in DK's story about what folks who need the soup kitchen can do during the week that they're shut down.
Right. So we're going to be following that, find out what's next. Also dealing with COVID, we're going to check in with Wheeling Health Right. They have been doing the COVID tests for just about a week. I think they started last Tuesday. I want to check in with them to see how many people's coming in, see if the people coming in have any kind of misconceptions or things that people need to know, so this process goes a little smoother. So we'll be checking in with our friends at Wheeling Health Right on how the COVID testing is going for them. Obviously, that's something big as well. The more testing that's done, you might slow down some of the community spread. A couple other things we're working on, following up on a infant found dead in Benwood. A little bit of information we have is coming from Chief Longwell. Don't have all the details, but we will have much more at noon. And then we'll have it tonight at 5 and 6. Another tragic death down there, so we're trying to get the details on that. Two things, a little lighter. Menards is opening at the Highlands. We'll be up there for that. Excited about that. I've been one Menards in my life, and it was like if you're in, everything's there. I mean, at least the one that I was in Michigan City. I mean, it's got groceries, it's got hardware, it's got a lumber yard. I mean, it was pretty impressive. So we'll have to see what this one's going to be. Caroline Peters is going up to check that one out. Obviously, as you were talking about before you came to me, the Maroney case, we're going to be following up on that. We got some information from court last week. We're getting more details today. So we'll have that. And then there's some kind of meeting tonight, the Wheeling Planning Commission. Sure you're aware of those things, Howard?
I've heard about that. Yes, yes.
We'll be watching that on the Wheeling, City of Wheeling's Facebook page. My understanding is that GC&P development is on the agenda, which has been a hot button topic. So Stephanie Grinley will be following up on that tonight. So those are some of the stories we're working on today. Obviously, got weather rolling through. High school football playoffs are continuing. So you got a little bit of everything on this Monday.
Sounds like a good lineup of stories. We'll be watching for them at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, and of course the 5:30 update as always statewide. And when news breaks, we'll find it at WTRF.com. I see that you've got on WTRF.com the Benwood Police investigating infant death story. Brook Middle School teacher tests positive for COVID-19. Yikes. Valley High School suspends in-person school. Boy, COVID's all over the place, Bob. We're going to be watching for this. And I know you'll have all the details for us today.
We will tonight. Thanks, Howard.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Hey, before I go, let me just remind you all that tonight's big Kansas City Buffalo game tonight, big matchup. FanDuel Sportsbook has a special deal for you right now. New users to FanDuel can get an exclusive plus 2,500 odds boost on the Chiefs to win over the Buffalo Bills in this big matchup tonight. You can bet up to $5 and you could win up to $125 on the Kansas City win. And Brother Biff thinks that's a pretty good bet, actually. Kansas City, you think, will probably be, is in your mind a good favorite here, right?
Yes, I would go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, so you can bet on that with a plus 2,500 odds boost right now if you're a new user to FanDuel. And, of course, with FanDuel, incredible odds are just the beginning. They got a simple app, live betting on every game, all kinds of bet types like the same game parlays we often talk about, and they get you your winnings pretty quickly as well. You have to download FanDuel to play, though. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, use my name and row in the promo code box, and then you're all set and ready to go. You must be 21 or older. You must be present physically in West Virginia or Pennsylvania. New users only. You must wager on the designated boost market. Deposit is required. The maximum bonus on this deal is $125. Full terms available at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you like to game and gamble and it's fun, go do her. If you have a gambling problem, don't do her. Call 1-800-GAMBLER instead, 1-800-GAMBLER, or visit www.1800gambler.net. I didn't get to my email scheme. I didn't get to the president tweeting out some bizarre stories once again. I don't want to talk about tipping. I didn't get to all of that. Those things with us tomorrow morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Plus, who knows what else is liable to happen. Probably a lot of COVID conversation as well. But for now, I got to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, and don't get impeached, and don't retire. My ticker keeps on ticking. I don't overeat, and Teddy says, it's all right, Granddad. You can go back to work. I'll be here at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Are you back with me, Biffy?
I will be back for a Tuesday.
We're going to keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Reports his campaign.
All right, Biffy. Another day done. Wasn't bad at all. I don't think we got some good stuff in. I'm glad you had that Washington Pack thing to talk about up front. That was a good story. I'm glad you brought that to us. And we'll see what tomorrow brings when tomorrow comes. Yes, I do. Yeah, I will use that tomorrow. All right, I plan to use that tomorrow, yes. Okay, sounds good. I thought I was coming in at 10:30, but I guess I'm not. That meeting was canceled, so I guess I'll go get some sausage gravy and biscuits instead.
Don't you have a meeting at 10:30?
Yes, she's yelling at me. You're right, Biff. She stood in that doorway and waited till she thought I was off the air and then opened that door and it started already. Jeez.
I did not.
I said sausage, gravy, and biscuits. Shoo, there in that doorway.
I said, don't you have a meeting at 10:30? Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Biff, if you need me, give me a call. I will do another FanDuel just for a recorded version. I'm not supposed to do this Buffalo thing again, but I'm not going to bother to record a version of that. I'll record the same game parlay, though, and send it to you when I send the promo here in a few minutes. But first, I better go and take my lickings on sausage, gravy, and biscuits. All right. You'll know why. That's down to my sausage, gravy, and biscuits. All right. If you need me, give me a call. I'll talk to you in the morning. If not, all right. Bye.
Every person. The Children Seeking Asylum March is putting a human face on those in search of dignity and safety, but are currently being denied that right to request asylum.
The marches take place on the 21st of each month when current restrictions are renewed. This month's march follows the recent call by Pope Francis to create a new vision of humanity irrespective of borders and differences.
The march will be live streamed with Catholic leaders offering prayers along the entire southern border and a group of migrant children offering their testimonials.
For more information, go to catholicextension.org/children.
New wildfires flaring up in Colorado. The Calwood fire starting over the weekend in Boulder County, burning through more than 8,700 acres and destroying